Today's podcast is brought to you by Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. Accidents happen. Without the right coverage from the right insurance company, damage to your automobile can be a real financial hit. That's why Kentuckians appreciate the competitive rates and personal service they get from Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. When the unexpected happens, count on us to help you get back on the road. To request a free quote, find your local KFB insurance agent at mykfbagent.com. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment.
Okay, we're going to do a college football podcast today. Tim, you're here today.
Welcome.
Welcome, Tim.
Oh, we're live.
Yeah, we're live. We're talking.
Wow.
Da-na-na, da-na-na.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, how's it going? How's life, man?
Oh, just fantastic.
Yeah.
Is it though?
It's a blessing.
It's
Well,
been groaning about a knee.
Yeah, well, I got a few health things going on, but I'm not going to trouble people with my ailments.
You're rocking and rolling. You're doing great. It's good to see you're here
Still
today.
kicking.
Well, I wanted to bring up, so today is the beginning of the college football playoff.
Which really is what this podcast is
This
about.
is
Anyone that thinks you're on a rural agriculture podcast,
Sometimes
welcome to football.
Sometimes we talk about sports and mostly about football because someone's an LSU fan, which they're good at lots of things, but mostly
not football this year, but
apparently not football this year.
But I'm on the lane train, baby.
The lane.
We coming for you all. We'll be in Lexington in October, and that's the last time you'll hear me say that until after that game, and I hope to God we win because that's where I'm at on this. But anyway, we do not have a good track record in Lexington, but that's okay.
No.
But playoffs.
Playoffs.
All right,
What do you feel?
I got big opinions.
You like? Okay.
All right, so as we have heard on this podcast from, if anyone's listened, I went to Italy, big Catholic, big Pope person, all the things. As a Catholic, you're supposed to like Notre Dame, and I got issues. And I've had issues for a long time because I think you need to pick a conference. Because now we're all whining because you're not in the playoffs, and somebody that beat you in week one's in the playoffs. Do I agree Notre Dame's a better team than Miami? Yes. Do I think that Notre Dame could have won the ACC this year? Yes. So maybe just join a flipping conference. You're in a conference in basketball. And instead they say, no, we're too good for the Pop-Tart Bowl. Joke's on you. We love the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Pop-Tart Bowl's actually a nice bowl.
It is a good, enjoyable experience for us. Who knows what the weird guy in the Pop-Tart suit's going to do.
Right.
I enjoy it.
I love
They
Pop-Tarts.
pour Pop-Tarts on the coach.
You're too
at
good.
the end of it.
You're too good for the Pop-Tart Bowl?
I wonder if they're toasted.
I don't think they can.
That is the superior way to eat a Pop-Tart.
That's really good.
Now-
Go ahead.
Speaking of Pop-Tarts, I go back before they were frosted.
Man.
Whoa. This is a good question. My husband and I
just
disagree on this.
saying,
Are you a frosted or unfrosted Pop-Tart man?
I can go frosted, but I prefer unfrosted.
Okay, and how do you feel, fruit or chocolate?
Oh, fruit. Yeah.
My dad is an unfrosted fruit. My husband is a frosted fruit, and this old girl wants chocolate chips, s'mores. Give me anything chocolate. It's an excuse to eat dessert in the morning's my thought.
Yeah, I like the brown sugar cinnamon, which is a classic, and then a solid
Synergy.
like strawberry with frosting.
strawberry.
That's kind of all need to be frosted.
I like the blueberry frosted because I like blueberries. But anyway,
So the college football playoff.
I digress.
We did take a round on
does start-
Pop-Tarts, but it makes sense.
It starts tonight.
It does.
Which is really fun.
How do we think tonight's game is going to go?
It's at Oklahoma, right? Bama at Oklahoma.
Yes, I am double checking myself,
I
but
think
we
that's
are
right.
Bama, Oklahoma, and it is not showing me a location at the moment.
That's at Oklahoma, I believe.
Pretty sure it's at Oklahoma.
And I don't know. Yeah, I think that's probably,
Yeah, it's at Oklahoma.
I think Bama's better, but it's at Oklahoma. So I'll say that. So I don't know. That might be it'd be a fun one.
If
It'd
this
be a
was
fun-
Nick Saban in Alabama, I'd pick Alabama by 100. I don't have as much faith in Kalen DeBoer to turn these boys around after that big old.
There's a lot of anger
crud.
about the playoff in general, and I'm like, why are we mad? So last year there was a lot of, hey, we got to fix everything, right? And the playoff had the number 8 seed versus the 9 seed in the final.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that exactly what a playoff's supposed to do?
I think that's what we want.
That's what you want. You want to put all these teams that you really don't know who's better and put them in a big bucket, shake it out, and that's the final. And I think that's great.
That's the closest thing in football you get to a Cinderella story. How many times do you see the guy that comes out of the wild card in the NFL actually win the Super Bowl? Like, this is the closest we get to your Cinderella story.
Both of those teams would have not been in the playoff, and
Correct.
they went to the final. And I think there's a really good chance of that happening this year with some of these teams. So,
oh my God, you think Tulane's going to win the whole thing?
Tulane's not going to do it.
What?
James Madison, who they'll beat. U of L beat 2 college football playoff teams, by the way.
Yet they're not in it.
Yeah, because they like to lose games they should have won. They lost a bunch of games they should have won. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the playoff. I'm for more football, which is another thing. People are like, I just want the BCS back. I'm like, why do you want less?
Okay, let me explain something to anyone that. Okay, people in Kentucky. This is mean. I'm just going to say it. That think that they're football fans that are bandwagon Alabama fans in football. Let me explain something to you from the times of before Nick Saban was at Alabama and you became an Alabama football fan. There was this thing called the BCS, and that mean man Pete Carroll was at USC. And in 2003, LSU, which is where Nick Saban was at the time, had to split a national championship with USC because the BCS is such a crapshoot. So for anyone that's like, I want the BCS back, yeah, the same team that had Reggie Bush lose his Heisman, Matt Leinart, who you forgot existed, Pete Carroll, who we only think of as an NFL coach, all that happened, and LSU on the Wikipedia has to split a 2003 national championship because the BCS is dumb. So you don't want that.
They would have had to play it out, and we would have said,
and they wouldn't let them do it, and
right.
I'm out. No.
Right.
Just so our listeners know, we are on a 5-second delay when Flurnay starts on this because we're not really sure what she's going to say.
Yeah, so
I would like to remind you all of one thing. These are college students, very young people with tons of pressure on them.
Mm-hmm.
Even more so now in the days when they're getting paid.
Yeah, and I need them to show up and win because
we should remember that many of them a year ago were high school seniors.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah. With having kids getting in that age group, you see some of these guys, you're like, that's sure he's 300 pounds, but he like his face looks like he's 15.
Is that weird? I've obviously not experienced that. When your kid is the same age as the person you yell at on the TV and you kind of look over across the couch and go, well, this is an odd moment.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Is that weird?
Well, I've got a kid who's old enough to be in the what is the Rivers guy that's now playing for
Old Man River
for Baltimore?
Not Baltimore.
So the Colts, but yes.
Close.
I said Baltimore. Oh boy, that was a throwback, wasn't it?
His Louisville ears perked up and said, "No, that's Lamar.
Lamar, that's
my guy."
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be nice. I do think there's a couple teams that maybe shouldn't be in it, but there were probably some teams last year shouldn't have been in it, and probably will be some teams in it next year that shouldn't be in it, and the year after that, and then it'll eventually be a 48-team playoff.
Somebody did say that. They said, if you keep complaining, we'll go to 32 teams. And I went, stop. But then the other part of me is like, why not? More football.
I think 16 would be nice and leave it alone. That's what the lower level does. They've done it for 50 years. It's worked out just fine. Just do something like that. If you can't get in the top 16, you're not going to win it. And then just leave it alone. Everybody gets, all the little guys get a couple teams in.
You will have some blowouts.
Yeah.
Like, we don't go into March Madness and think every one of these games is going to be a 4-point game or 2-point game.
Last second shot.
No, that's not the first day of March Madness. There are people with betting situations on who's going to lose by the most. I mean, like, that is life.
Yeah, I was like, so sometimes you get blown out and that team's, that maybe, we never say that team's good. The team that beat them. You know what I mean? Like, we don't just go, well, maybe that team's just really good. It's the other team didn't deserve to be there. And I'm like, well, maybe that team that just killed them.
Side note, Tim, I don't know how much you use the X, Twitter, but our friends over at, who's that school that Louisville beat this year?
JMU?
Yeah.
They have a great Twitter thing.
They have a Twitter account, and they are just consistently trolling Oregon like they are the better team, like they are the greater dynasty. Like, oh, it's nice to see a Big Ten team actually have fans buy tickets. It's tough when you're playing a dynasty like us. I mean, like, they are hilarious. So if you're ever bored and you're like, what am I going to do today during the playoffs? This game's not fun. Go look up the James Madison.
They're winning the internet right now. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, it's just like one of their random blogs or something like that. It's been posting really funny stuff. So,
do you know who else is winning though? I'm going to transition us. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm doing it.
Okay.
Kentucky on the national offices for FCCLA.
They are winning.
We are winning. We may not be in the football playoffs, by gosh, with any team, but we are winning in FCCLA national officers.
There are only so many officers, and we had 2 selected.
Yeah.
To be a part of the FCCLA playoff and have the best of the best.
And here
they're from
we
Kentucky.
What? What a transition.
Thank you.
I did not think it was possible when we started this conversation.
Renee, bringing it.
But Renee led us right into that. Actually, there are 2 states this year that have 2 officers. But I won't mention
You're
who the
ruining
other
the
state
podcast
is.
by
I
saying
won't
that someone else
mention
did it too.
the
But
other-
we're the 1 seed
other.
and they're the 2 seed.
That's how it works.
That's how it is.
That's
Yeah,
how it
yeah.
Well, you know, for folks that don't know, I spent 15 years in public education, and I understand. I worked closely with these student organizations, and they are just fantastic in this state. We not just FCCLA, but all of our student organizations. We are consistently placing students at the national level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, if anybody that hears these 2 young people that we're going to hear from in a minute, if they're not inspired, then they're, better check their pulse.
Yeah, I think young people get a bad rap, right? We always talk about the next generation, and then you meet some of these kids, and they're just like way sharper than you were when you were like 18, 17.
They may not play football,
right,
but these guys are superstars
Yep.
in their own right.
Yep.
And if you're like me and your thought going into high school when people talked about FCCLA was that old home ec corner of the building, I really encourage you to take a listen. Tim does a good job of letting these guys kind of rebuttal that and make sure people understand what the organization's about now, what they do. There's a very old school mentality. It's the same future farmers of America. They're just a bunch of farm boys. I think there's a lot of layers to these youth organizations, and we haven't gotten this group in to talk about it. I don't know if we have ever since we started this podcast. So I'm pretty excited just to let those kids talk through the things they do and why it's important to them.
They do, and career and technical education in general, the old vocational education as people still refer to it in a lot of places. It's truly amazing, and I spent a lot of years trying to explain that to folks who didn't understand it. But these guys, that type of education benefits anybody who's in it. You may not, maybe you want to be a heart surgeon, but you can still benefit from some of the things you learn at the career and tech level. It's just amazing. Our universities, especially our technical college system, recognizes that. There's a lot of dual credit that's available. I've heard of students that finished their high school career with a diploma from the high school and enough credits to get an associate's from a community college. I mean, it's just unbelievable what some of these folks are doing. They're just athletes in their own right.
And this transition continues. I'm so proud of us. All right, let's get you to these awesome young leaders. I'm Renee Carrico.
I'm Matt Hilton.
I'm Tim Thornberry.
Let's get rural.
Ladies, welcome to the podcast. It is an honor to have you both in here. So I won't mess up introductions. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves, and we're going to let you tell our listeners and our readers, because this will go in our magazine as well, a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your organization, and whoever wants to start first.
All right. Well, my name is Sutton Sherrod. I'm a senior at Woodford County High School, and we're here with FCCLA, which is the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. I serve as the organization's National Vice President of Programs. Super excited to serve this year with Kendall on the National Executive Council. So thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely.
Yes, my name is Kendall Slaughter. I'm a senior at Spencer County High School, and I've been in FCCLA this is my 4th year, and I currently serve as the National Vice President of Development. And like Sutton said, I'm very excited that I get to serve with her again. We served last year together as state officers, and now we are both national officers together, so it's a really cool and unique experience.
I'm going to skip around. How unusual is that? two folks from the same state being on the national officer team. Is that pretty cool?
Sir.
Yes.
We had two from Kentucky. The last time that we had two Kentucky representatives on the National Executive Council was the 2020 to 2021 school year. So it is kind of rare to have two from the same state. And this year, it's even more rare because not only do we have two Kentucky representatives on the National Executive Council, but there's two Arkansas representatives. So it's kind of Arkansas and Kentucky heavy, I like to say, but it's a really cool year to be on.
Well, nothing like the SEC is there, I'll tell you. Here we go.
Go Cats.
Did it surprise you when you found this out? And how did you find out?
So the process of running for national office is really about a 4 to 5 month process. We both began back in January and February of this year with applications and interview prep, and we were still serving as state officers, so we still had that responsibility on top of preparing to run for nationals. And then at the National Leadership Conference this summer, it was July in Orlando, we went through the national officer candidate process in person. So it was comprised of interviews and what they call fishbowl, lots of teamwork activities with the other candidates. There were 27 candidates that we ran with, and then 10 were ultimately elected to the National Executive Council. So as the week went on, the pool of candidates got smaller and smaller, and then they have what's called a letter drop.
Yes, those letter drops.
I know. So each candidate received a letter telling them that they had either made the top 10 on the National Executive Council or not. And so we both received our congratulations letters really early one July morning, and we were both super over the moon, super excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, first off, Orlando is just a terrible place to have a conference, isn't it? I'm telling you. It had to be very exciting for you, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Was it, I shouldn't ask this question, was it unexpected, or did you feel good about it going into it?
I think that we both took a lot of time and preparation put into this. I think that we were both very confident going into the election process, but, nothing is ever expected. I think that we both, we worked very hard prepping, interview prepping, doing our speech over and over and over again. I like to joke and say that I did my speech to anybody and everybody that would listen. I made my friends' parents gather in the living room, and I would do it for them just to, do it one more time. And so I think that we both took so much time to put into this to ensure that we were confident and very, very prepared for the election process, that I think that, that really paid off for us.
Yeah. I mean, success is never just given, it's earned. And I think we knew that going into it, that it would be a rigorous process. As you kind of look at the process on paper, and it doesn't seem like a lot. It seems like, I can handle an interview and teamwork. But when you're really there and you're in person, you're talking with people, you're always on. You're always ready to talk to the next person, to do the next thing. And it's exhausting, but well worth it.
That is a skill that will serve you well going forward. And I'm looking, people don't know this, but I'm looking at Kendall's mom through the window. How many times did you hear the speech? She doesn't have enough fingers.
Too many.
That's great. That's one of my faults. I never practice speaking before I get in front of somebody, so I never know how it's going to go. So, anyway, tell us a little bit about the organization for maybe some people that aren't familiar with it. Let's hear about it. How great is it?
Absolutely. So, like I said, FCCLA stands for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. So when we think about career and technical education, we have what's called career and technical student organizations that are adjacent to those pathways and that curriculum that we're teaching in schools within CTE. So we're a national career and technical student organization for students in family and consumer sciences classes. What's really unique about our organization is that we're intracurricular, meaning that the skills that students are learning in those family and consumer sciences courses at their schools, they're able to then take with them and directly apply to the events and the things that they're doing within FCCLA.
That's cool. So, and you've been a part of that since you got to high school, correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I've been a part of FCCLA for 4 years now. I like to say that my first national leadership conference was 18 years ago, and I'm 17. So my mom was pregnant with me when she was the FCCLA advisor and family consumer sciences teacher at Spencer County High School. And so I like to say that my journey started in the womb. It's always been a part of me. I knew that, from a very early age, attending conferences and that kind of stuff, I knew that it was something I wanted to be involved with. So I kind of dove headfirst my freshman year to get heavily involved, and I served as a chapter, regional, state, and now national officer. And so, those experiences have definitely paid off for me, but I knew that it was always something that, I wanted to be very involved with.
That is an amazing story.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this. They think, well, Tim's been the farm guy for so many years now. We don't think beyond that. But I used to work with career and technical organizations here in the state. And I must say, all of them are so good. And we have such a great track record. Mom's shaking her head yes in there. We have such a great track record of leading students into those state and national level officer roles. So elaborate on that. We're doing pretty good. Us in Arkansas, you know.
Yes, us in Arkansas.
For sure. What's really unique is this year our national theme for FCCLA is connected. And if you look at the logo for this year, it's connected and the letters CTE are bolded, which is a really unique opportunity for us, especially as we talk about all of the different career and technical student organizations that we have, especially here in the state of Kentucky. It's really strong and we're really thankful for that. And we get the opportunity to kind of have that just like cross network of organizations that are working together this year with their state and national officers as well. Yeah. Career and technical education is thriving in Kentucky, and especially to have such FCCLA have had strong state executive councils, and then Kendall and I obviously both got elected to the National Executive Council, FFA, HOSA, DECA, FBLA. Those organizations as well have great track records. So I think it's just a testament to what's happening in the classroom.
Yeah, and I think that, it goes beyond the classroom. We have such a steady incoming generation of workforce. These career and technical education courses and sequence of courses are preparing students for any post-secondary opportunity that they choose to pursue. Not necessarily college, maybe that's a trade. Whatever that is, these courses are preparing them. And so I think that with these such strong CTE courses and CTSOs in Kentucky, they're preparing students to be able to go straight into the workforce. And, through these classes, we're able to do dual credit, college credit, be able to have industry recognized certifications and be able to gain opportunities like work-based learning and to be able to gain experience before you actually pursue any post-secondary opportunities.
Two-parter question here. Do you find yourself explaining, are there a lot of people that don't really fully understand what career and technical education is all about? They may be an older person like me and they're back in the days of shop class and things like that. But career and technical education is so much more. And I know from my years there, a lot of the time that I spent was educating people on what it was and how valuable it is and all the things, all the opportunities it presented to students. Do you find that to be the same?
Yes, we absolutely, every time we introduce the organization, we introduce career and technical education, family and consumer sciences, we're always sort of backtracking and explaining, starting from the beginning. And for a lot of people, we have a modern framework of family and consumer sciences, but many people know that as home ec. And so we kind of have to go back and say, well, what you formerly known as home ec, as shop class, those vocational trades and things that you did back in school are now, we still have those. Those programs are still here. They're just under a different name. So we do a lot of explaining on that end. But I think just overall, there's kind of this sentiment that career and technical education is not for all students, that it's just specifically for those students that don't want to go to college, that want to pursue a trade, that just have a different life path. But CTE is for everyone. And like Kendall said, it's preparing students for whatever path they choose. It's preparing them for college, to work in teams, to have those relationship skills with one another, especially within FCCLA. We're really big on that. But then also with career pathways and really giving students the opportunity to explore, what does life after high school look like? Does that look like trade school for me? Does that look like college? Maybe it looks like going straight into the workforce. But the skills that students are learning within FCCLA, within CTE, are translating far beyond when they walk the stage of graduation.
I could have used y'all's help, 20 years ago, let me tell you. Sometimes it seemed like a chore, but it was certainly well worth doing to get that information out. Now, you said something about home ec. I'm gonna date myself here. Back in 1975, I was in a class in my high school called Bachelor Living. it was sort of a home ec type class for guys, and it was a way to introduce us to that. We discovered that those skills were as necessary for us in a lot of ways as they were for anybody else. And I still remember that. I remember the teacher. I remember the classroom and some of the activities we did. It stayed with me forever. I think that was one big advantage for that. Now, the second part of the question, do you feel as though you're role models for other people? Do you find that you have students come up and say, well, tell me about this, or how did you get involved, or how can I get involved? Do you feel like role models for other students?
I do. I think that starting out as a regional officer, I was a big advocate for FCCLA, and I still am. That's one of my favorite parts of my job, is being able to be an advocate for FCCLA. But it started out by recruiting members. And so I knew that, we have a very big member base in Spencer County High School. We have over 250 members, which is awesome. But I knew that I wanted to get more students involved. So while they were a member and they attended club days, I wanted them to reap the benefits of this organization. And so I wanted to get them involved in STAR events, which is a competitive event, and that's, A to Z, anything that you could think of competing in, there's an event for you. It's not like the Cinderella, there's a shoe that fits everybody, there's an event that fits everybody. And so I think that it was very rewarding seeing the students who ended up completing a STAR event, and then they went on to be regional officers, and now we have some running for state officers this upcoming March. And so it was really cool being able to be a role model and to encourage students to see the opportunities that lie behind the organization.
Mm-hmm. I know I'm off script now. We might as well throw this thing away here. I know that in the process of getting you guys here, do you do a lot of this? Maybe not a podcast, but do you do a lot of visits? Do you talk to a lot of different classes or organizations and things like that? Because it sounds like you stay really busy.
Yes, nationals keeps us busy. Our states keep us busy. We do a lot of chapter visits, both locally here in Kentucky, things with our own chapters. Regionally, Kentucky has 14 regions, so sometimes we get invited to speak at our own regions, other regions across the state, and then in the spring, it'll be state conference season, which I think both of us are really excited about. States can request us to come to their national conferences. And being relational is something that Kendall and I are both passionate about. I think, when we heard that we were doing this podcast today, we were both really excited because we love to just be down to earth and talk about the things that are important to us and our experiences. And we hope that shapes other people in turn. So we love getting to go to events and things like that. And then obviously our National Leadership Conference. That's when our term will really culminate at the end of the year, and it'll be in July, over the 4th of July. So,
have you got to go to other states yet? Visit with other chapters in other states yet?
I have been across the state of Kentucky, but I've not been to an out-of-state visit yet this school year. So like Sutton said, most of those state leadership conferences are in the spring, so those invites won't start coming in until after the new year.
Are you excited about that?
Very,
You need to go to Arkansas, all right? I'm sorry, Arkansas. We are way ahead right here.
We'll put in a word with Eva and Logan. Tell them we want to come.
Well, it's certainly, just listening to you, I'm thinking, man, these guys are sharp. I mean, it's just amazing. I'm looking at my notes here right now, so give me just a second. If you had a piece of advice to give someone, I'm going to read this. If you have one piece of advice to give to other students about taking advantage of educational leadership skill training opportunities, what would it be?
Well, I always say that FCCLA has countless connections and endless opportunities, and I think that goes for career and technical education as a whole. And I say those 4 words a lot, but I think it really embodies what FCCLA is and what it does. And so for students to take hold of those connections and those opportunities to make a meaningful impact in their community, but also in their own lives. Career and technical education as a whole is shaping students and a future generation of the people that are going into our workforce. They're going to be in our schools, in our jobs, which is super important. And so for them to, as small as it may be, take hold of the leadership opportunities that are available to them at school, available in their family and consumer sciences classes, their career and tech classes, those opportunities, as small as they may seem, are really have such a great impact on the students' lives, whether they see it now or not. So, I mean, you talked about, you remember what you did in your family and consumer science class, your home ec class, your bachelor living class.
I don't think they're allowed to call it that anymore.
But you remember what you did in those classes,
I do.
And you remember the teacher and the people that impacted you.
Yes.
So, and at the time, you probably didn't think a thing about it. But now looking back on that, those are skills that you probably still use, or at least if you're not using them every day, you remember them. And so,
For sure.
incredibly important.
I also learned to make blueprints without a computer. That's how old I am. Your turn.
Yeah. I always say my favorite quote is by Pablo Picasso, and it is, "The meaning of life is to find your gifts, and the purpose of life is to give those gifts away." And so I've done a couple workshops around that specific quote. And I think when I think about that quote, I think about how am I going to utilize my strengths and my passions to uplift, inspire, and build other people up. I think that when you think about your gifts, you need to sit down and really think about, I've sat down with some freshmen this year and I was like, what are you passionate about? What do you love to do? How are you going to use your gifts, so to say, to inspire others and to do good in your community? And so I think that it's a quote I try to live by to ensure that I'm using my gifts to, build others up and to be able to use what I'm passionate about to do better.
Tell me the quote again.
It's by Pablo Picasso, and the meaning of life is to find your gifts, and the purpose of life is to give those gifts away.
I'm going to use that somewhere. I like that.
And I wanted to touch on this as well. So kind of like a story that you said about FHA, Sutton and I, oftentimes when we are at conferences and in D.C., we were in D.C. a few weeks ago, people would be like, what are these red blazers? What are you doing here? And so we would explain FCCLA to them. And then when we would reference FHA, a light bulb kind of went up. And they're like, oh, okay. They didn't realize that in 1999, the name changed from FHA to FCCLA.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, I was talking with a guy the other day. He's actually the sheriff of Shelby County. And he was talking to me about how he remembers his home ec class. And he was making a recipe that he doesn't even need a recipe for. And he remembers making it in that class, so many years ago, and being able to still use those soft skills that, he learned with his teacher.
Well, I think in thinking back to that time, I think the thing I remember the most is what great instructors we had.
Yeah.
That left a lasting impression on me. And as a matter of fact, I've written about them before. I don't know. As I got later in high school, I felt like I needed to apologize to most of them because I wasn't the greatest student in the world, But, it was a very lasting impression.
Yeah.
Now, you've given advice, you've told me about giving advice to other students. What do you tell folks like me? What's your advice to someone past your generation when you're talking about what you do and what they need to do maybe to support you? That was a tough one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, I think you kind of answered the path that I was going with, just overall support. I think that, us feeling supported by everyone through our journey with career and technical education and FCCLA is super important. I think that me and Sutton are so passionate about career and technical education that we wanted something that everybody knows about, something that we don't have to explain, and that we encourage, maybe we encourage the older generations to get their kids involved in career and technical education. I'm always talking to parents on 8th grade recruitment night, trying to get kids in the family consumer science pathway. So I think that maybe just overall support and for parents to know and understand what they're getting and the benefits that their children are going to get by being in career and technical student-led organizations like FCCLA.
Do you find that to be a hard sell? And I'll share a story with you in a minute, but do you sometimes find I don't know if that's
I think it
for
really
us.
depends on our audience and
Yeah.
who we're talking to. I think when, Kendall talked about 8th grade recruitment night, and we have freshman orientation, which is kind of like our club rush where students are able to kind of find what looks interesting to them, what looks exciting to them, and to watch so many freshmen and their parents walk around each booth and then end up at FCCLA. It's a sweet time to be able to talk to them and say, hey, here's how this has impacted me, and I want your child to be impacted in the same way. I want your child to have the same countless connections and endless opportunities that I've had, because I've gained so many things from that. Kendall's gained so many things from that, and we want that for other people. But I really think it depends on our audience. I don't have as hard a time talking to parents because I think we get to be living proof of this life-changing organization. And so when parents see that, they're like, I want that for my child. Like, I want my child to be that.
To be like this. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
But I think it just depends on who we're talking to. Sometimes people really struggle with understanding what the organization is, and I think that can sometimes be a barrier to wanting their children to be involved, wanting to support the organization itself. It takes a little bit of time to sit down and explain all of the details. But.
Years ago, I visited a school, and I won't tell you where it is or anything like that, but I visited a school, and there was a young man there. He was in a machine tool technology class, and when he had told his mother about that, she said, absolutely not. You're not going to go to that school and do that. Well, for some reason, he talked her into it. And from that level, he went on to community and technical college and began an internship with a local company that paid for it. Mm-hmm. And he got past that. And then he decided he wanted to be a full-fledged engineer. So the company sent him on to another state college, and he got that. And so here this fella is an engineer at this big company, and I assume he's still there, and it was amazing to watch what he was doing. And the first question I asked him was, what's your mama say now? And, of course, she was thrilled at the outcome. And for me, and what I was doing was to tell that story so we could get more people interested in that. And, it really takes young people like you to spread the word. I could talk till I'm blue in the face, and they may not listen to me, but they will listen to you guys. So, one more question, then I'll let you tie it up. How has being a part of this changed your life?
I always say that FCCLA truly is a life-changing organization. The friendships that you acquire is something I always harp on. My friends that I, met through being a state officer in Kentucky, being a regional officer, being a chapter officer from my specific chapter, and now me and Sutton and I now have 8 new best friends from all across the country, as well as all other members, that we've been able to have the opportunity to talk to. And so, not only are you acquiring friends, but you're also learning soft skills and anything that's going to be applicable in any path that you choose to do after high school. A lot of us on the National Executive Council, we are not pursuing careers that align to the family consumer science pathways or career clusters, but the skills that we're learning by being a national officer and being in these organizations and participating in events like this, we are going to be able to use those for the rest of our lives, no matter what career path we choose.
Mm-hmm. We've been put in some really unique positions as national officers in some really cool settings where we've gotten to do a podcast. We've gotten to sit down with people and talk, but we've also gotten to speak at workshops and hold events. And I think FCCLA has really just given us a broad spectrum of opportunities, which is incredible. And so, like Kendall said, most of us on the National Executive Council are not going into family and consumer sciences education or pathways that directly align with FCCLA's careers, but it's the things that we're learning while we're serving in these positions that are going to serve us well long down the road. I plan to go into communications and advertising. Kendall has career path ideas of her own.
Yes, there's about 3. I'm in between on.
I know, college decisions is crazy. But just in thinking about that, we feel ultra prepared to take on whatever challenges life throws at us and whatever career path we choose because we've been in FCCLA and because we've experienced the life-changing impact that this organization has had.
Well, I got to tell you, I said I was just going to ask one more question, but I'm going to talk a little bit. I read your resumes. When do you guys have time to sit and watch television or anything? I mean, you're not just involved in this; you're involved in a whole host of other things.
Yes,
you stay really busy. I had to take a nap after reading this. I was so tired. I thought, how do these people do it? So how do you do it? You seem to be very busy these days. Mm-hmm. Is that good?
I love staying busy. I think that I thrive in that environment. I love the go, go, go. I like to soak up every single opportunity. I like to say I have fear of missing out. And so anything that I can be at or attend that doesn't overlap with another event, I'm going to be there. I think that, being able to take time for yourself. I think if you set aside, maybe that's just 20 minutes a day to read or, do whatever your heart wants you to do or heart wants you to pursue. I think that that's important. But, I think me and Sutton both thrive in the busy environment. We experienced that as a state officer, and now it's kind of a little bit amplified as a national officer, but we handle it very well.
Yeah, I have to agree. I love being busy and, serving on the NEC, but also being involved in my church and my school and my community. And ultimately, I sit here and I just think this is such a grace from the Lord that we are able to do this and we're able to be here because it is by His grace that we have been given these opportunities to sit in these positions, and all glory to Him for that. And, our goal is that Christ would be magnified in our year, in our interactions that we have with people. And so really, really remembering that He's the reason that we've been able to do all of this. And so all glory to Him for what we've been able to do and for keeping our heads on our shoulders as we run around and do all these busy things.
Well, I must say amen to that. I agree 100%. And it's by the grace of the good Lord that I get to do what I do. And I'm thankful for it every day. And, some of the highlights being is getting to talk to folks like you. So I'm going to leave the last word to you. Kendall, first, what do you want our listeners and readers to know? What do you want to leave them with?
I think I want to go back to my quote by Pablo Picasso, which is, the meaning of life is to find your gifts and the purpose of life is to give those gifts away. And so, think about that, write it down, or just remember it and go about your day to, I always say one act of kindness is going to inspire another. And so whether that's within school or that's in your professional life or whatever that might be, always... This is something my mom always tells me, that people will remember not what you did, but how you treated them. And so go about your day by, treating others with kindness and also doing what you're passionate about. I think that's my lasting remarks, is soak up every single opportunity because time is so, so valuable, and you don't get that back.
Yeah. And
wow. Y'all are going to make me cry, okay?
Well, Kendall, going back to her quote, I'll go back to mine: countless connections and endless opportunities. And that's something I started saying when I began my time in FCCLA serving as a state officer, but it rings so true. Make the connections, take hold of the opportunities, because ultimately it will create lasting impact. And whether that's within FCCLA, that's within your church, that's within your community, those connections and opportunities will serve you long beyond the years that you can see right now. And so take time in that, take gratitude in that. It's so incredibly important to look back and see, I like to call them little joys. And I have a list in my phone of just little things that spark joy throughout my month and throughout my day that I get to look back on. So take time to be grateful and really reflect on the opportunities and the connections that you've been given, because it's such a grace and it's such a joy.
Little joys. You've given me something now. I've got something from both of you. I tell you, I can't explain to you how great this has been to hear from you. And what, for an older person like myself, to be so encouraged by young people like you. It's the world is scary, but it's not half as scary now that I've talked to a couple of people like you and know that the future's in good hands. And Kendall and Sutton, can't thank you enough for being here today. And I wish you so much luck in the future. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Sir. Thank you so
for
much.
Having us.
All
Yeah,
right.
it was.
Thank you.
We were so excited to be able to do this today. So thank you.
Absolutely.